In this video, we'll be looking at the account section in System Online. First of all, we'll need to open up System Online. So if you've watched one of our previous videos, hopefully you would have created a shortcut. So that'll be either along the top here on the bookmarks bar, or shortcut just below the search bar down here. So let's click on there. So that gets us onto System Online. Now we'll need to sign in. So your username will be the one that was sent on your letter, which always stays the same. And the password, if you've chosen to save the password, it will automatically be in here. If you've written it down or remembered it, just type it in now. And then just click login. So we'll be looking at the Your Account section today. So the first one up here is messages. This has been greyed out by the Village Medical Centre, so we're not able to make any changes or do any messages with the surgery. So just we click on it there, it will just give you an error accessing messages, and then just click the back button. Sometimes services can be taken off and put back on, so it might be grayed off at one time, but then if the service is available, it will be in blue. So the next one down will be change contact details. So left click. So this, if you need to update any contact details with your surgery, it may be that you need to change your home address, or if you want any correspondence to be sent to another address, a family member or someone who may be looking after you, you can change your preferred contact number. So if you click on there, you can choose another one on here. Your home telephone number, if you want to update a work one or a mobile, just left click in the box and then type it in. And then if you want to allow SMS notifications, so notifications of appointments or anything from your surgery if they need to contact you, just click yes. If you haven't updated an email address, if you can pop that in there. So again, just click on the box and then type it in. And then the preferred contact method. So if you prefer getting a letter, email, SMS, which is a text message, or you prefer no communication at all, you just click on one of those boxes. And once you've completed that, just click submit new contact details. If you've gone in here by mistake and don't want to make any changes, you can just left click on the back button. It will take you back to the home page. But if you have made any changes, just left click submit, and then it tells you here that it's been confirmed that they've received your request. And then all you need to do is left click on the back button. The next option under your account is change password. So left click. If you want to change your password, you'll need to type in your current password in this box, so just left click. And then the new password needs to follow the rules stated above. So an uppercase, a lowercase, numeric characters, or non-alphanumeric characters like a symbol. So just need 3 out of those 4, or all 4 if you want to. Once you've typed in your current password, your new password, and then confirm that password, if you click submit, it will update it, and then the next time you log in, you'll need to log in with the new password that you've created. If you don't want to change your password, just left click back. The next one we're going to look at is manage online services. So just left click to open it up. And you can see here is the list of online services that are currently available to you. So we've got appointments available, request medication, so that's for your repeat medication and your pharmacy information, the summary of your care record, the detailed coded record is not on, and the full clinical record is not on. So if you want to add these to your online account, you just left click on the add. If you have already requested that, it will come there was already pending request. So if you're not sure, it's always best to click add, and it will tell you if it's already been, the request has been submitted. If you want to remove any service from your online account, you just left click on remove, and it will tell you access to the summary record service has been removed. and then just back. We want to add that back on. Click add. Anything that needs to be added on will always be reviewed by a member of staff before it is amended. And just click back. So always be careful before you click remove, as it may take a little bit of time for it to be reinstated. And as always, once you're finished, you can just click back. The next section is manage account users. So left click again. This will tell you if there are any users connected to your online account. So you've got another person, such as a friend, a carer, or a relative that you've granted access. They will be shown here. As we can see, we don't have anyone else on this account, so your details will always be in here. If anyone else, they'll be listed below, so you can see if anyone who has got access to your account. If for any reason you wanted to remove someone who has got access, in this section here, there will be the option to remove, and you would just click remove, and that request will be sent to your surgery to be reviewed by a member of staff. Once you're finished, just click back. Next, we're going to look at the online usage audit, as this links quite nicely with the manage account users. So if you left click to open it up. Now this tells us who has access to your account, when, and what they've looked at. So if it's just you that have access to your online account, it'll just be a list of the times and dates that you have accessed the service and what you did while you were on your online account. If you have given access to a relative, care, or another person, you'll be able to see what they've accessed and when on here as well. And you can do a search regarding that. So the first one we look at is the dates. When doing a search, you have to make sure that the dates that you do select are within a week of each other. So it can only select 1 week at a time. So this is set the last week. So we wanted to change that. First of all, if you click on the year, the drop down menu will appear, and choose the year, then check your month, and then choose a date in that month. With it being a week, it's left click on there. You want to check who the account was accessed by, so if you've got anyone else connected to your account, you can select them on here. Under action, you can check what has been accessed while on your account. So you can leave that as all actions if you wanted to, or you could click on the drop down menu and choose the option that's relevant. Once selected, so there you can see who has accessed, what was done, the date and time. When you're finished, just click the back button. The next heading we're going to look at is link account. This section will allow you to link any other online accounts that you may have had. For instance, if you had a patient access account and you want to link it in with your system online, what you'll need to do is enter the information. So that's on the letter that you were given when you registered for your online services. So your account ID, your account linkage passphrase, and your organisation code will all be on that letter. And then you'll just need to put your surname in and then your date of birth, and then left click link. If there are any accounts, it will link them together. To go back, just click the back button. The next section we're going to look at is reset account. So if you want to completely reset your online account, for whatever reason that may be, you can just click here on the reset button. So this will completely sign you out and you will lose access to all your online services. So be very careful before you click the reset button. If you want to gain access again to online services, you will need to speak with your doctor's surgery and request access, and another letter will be generated for you with new login details before you'll be able to get back online. To get out of this section, if you don't want to reset it, just click left click back. The last section that we're going to look at under your account is the account information. So just left click to open, and here it will tell you your organisation code or your account ID, and it will tell you if your account is linked to any third-party online services. It will be listed on here. To get back to the main screen, just left click back. So that covers the your account section.